From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, and it is time for the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles Live. And I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. And I got my man, the sports agent extraordinaire, sports radio talk extraordinaire as well, too, my man, Mike Abadir. And what's going on, Mike? I hope you.
What is up, Pop?
Great, bro. I hope that you cashed that Bucks ticket, but you probably got the Suns, man. I know the Suns were the hot. Look, and it's crazy to see a team go from minus 500 to win the series to plus 350 last night before they lost the series. That's absolutely an epic situation. And I know the people that were holding on to their Suns tickets are pretty pissed off right now as well, too. So it is what it is at the end of the day, but there was nothing that they could do about it last night. They did put up a great effort last night, but at the end of the day, though, Giannis, it's Mo Giannis. And put on a game of the ages, and there's just no compare. There's just was tough to stop that 50 points last night. And hey, congratulations to the champs. They went ahead and won that. That bad boy. So it's a historic night. The Bucks win their second world title in 50 years, and they complete the backdoor sweep. So, what are your thoughts on that, Mike?
Congrats to them. Congrats to the city of Milwaukee also, man. Like, I kind of like it when cities that don't, win, cities that aren't in big media markets get to enjoy the feeling of winning a title, man. You know what I mean? Like, right. It can't always be like the New Yorks and the Bostons and the LAs, because you add up all those, and those make up already 70% of all championships in sports. I like it when you have other teams win it. And I know there's a lot of Lakers fans here and a lot of Lakers fans that watch this show, but it's okay when you could sprinkle in every once in a while a few years of San Antonio or Milwaukee. I like seeing these smaller places win. That's kind of my point. But man, Giannis has proven on the court that he is the MVP. He is probably the best player in the world, man. He's the guy. You know what he is, Pop? He's what Kawhi Leonard was to the basketball world 2 years ago. Remember how Kawhi was kind of like people just all of a sudden realized this is the guy that you have to have for championships after Toronto won. And then, obviously the Clippers got him and stuff like that. And Kawhi is still great, don't get me wrong, but Giannis is now the guy that we're going to start looking at like Kawhi. On the other side of the equation, though, Chris Paul, man. I mean, what can I say, man? Okay. So many playoff exits. It finally gets to a finals. It can't take advantage. Sorry, Mr. State Farm. Looks like your career is going to be defined by a lot of near misses. And that's okay. You'll probably be a Hall of Famer, but you're not a world champ. And I don't say that snootily, Pop, but Chris Paul had let me down so many times when he was with the Clippers that, I just kind of lost my desire to back the guy. Specifically about the Milwaukee Bucks, besides Giannis, though, I mean, look, you have to have a very mentally strong team to be able to come in against the high-powered Phoenix Suns and to be able to come back in the manner that you did when it looked like, what did you say it was, minus 500 the other way?
Yep.
I mean, that doesn't give you very good chances, but they didn't let that stop them at all. And they came in like a vengeance after that second loss and didn't look back, man. So more power to the Milwaukee Bucks for getting a deal done with Giannis. He dropped 50 points, and they got their first championship since 1971.
And then, pretty much to piggyback off what you're saying about these mid-market, small-market teams being in the finals, this is what people were asking for a few years ago, that they wish that there could be other teams in the finals other than the team that LeBron's on and the Warriors or whoever the top, players are. They want to see more of, the heartland teams going against the teams that might have not been good for a decade or so and being a championship, kind of like how the NFL works and everything like that. They wanted to see more parity in the finals. And then when you got this final, people were like, I don't know about this one. But it wound up being great gameplay. There weren't any blowouts in this series like that. There was probably 2 blowouts. Well, there was blowouts in the first 2 games and then first 3 games. But these last 3 were very, very good games. They were point for point. There was a lot of action in the game as well, too. There was a lot of storylines going on in the game as well. And you know what? Another thing about Chris Paul, whenever he's the lead scorer in games, in crucial games, his team always loses. And I think last night he did a bit too much in the point guard position, and that did take away from his team later on in the game. Not early in the game, but later on in the game. That kind of threw off the rhythm a little bit, in my opinion. You didn't get Aiden getting double-digit rebounds last night. It was just – all in all, Phoenix looked like they played some great basketball, but they missed out on a lot of things last night. But, Giannis is going to get all the love and attention because he dropped 50. But Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, at the end of the day, those guys are the biggest reason why we're sitting here talking about the Bucks winning a championship. Giannis did his thing. Giannis is going to do his thing anywhere, but he needed those 2 guys to really hold it down for him. You got Drew Holiday, who's a great defensive player. And then you got Chris Middleton, who's who's in the Glenn Rice School of Shooting, where he can shoot from absolutely anywhere. And you can take over games as well, too. And that's exactly what happened. And this is the funniest part about it. They called them the dumbest playoff team they've ever seen after the first 2 games against the Nets. And then they had a little lowly win against the Nets. Everybody said, well, yeah, the Nets will get it all back together and they'll figure out a way to win the series. But that didn't happen. The Bucks still survived. They survived the Nets, and I think the Nets were the perennial champion once the Lakers were taken out. And when the Nets got taken out, nobody knew where to go after that. Nobody knew exactly where to go. And then, pretty much at the end of the day, this one yields the result because this was 2 years in the making. This team was the number 1 team in the NBA 2 years in a row going into the playoffs. They had some hiccups. They lost to Toronto. Same type of fashion, pretty much playing the team, and then you go up early in the series, you relax, and then they beat you. But it comes down to it. And then, last year Miami beat them in the bubble, so that's a different situation. But they righted all their wrongs. They swept Miami. They overcame the mighty Brooklyn Nets, and then they went ahead and took out the hot young kid on the block, Trae Young, that a lot of people were betting on to beat the Bucks as well too. And they just went ahead and had a great, somewhat not a Cinderella story, but they had the poor man's version of a great run to the championship where people were already writing you off because they just felt that you weren't the type of team that can make that go get across the line. And the Bucks have proved that they are the team that can get across the line. And as you said before, they have right now the best player on the planet. And you could probably see the changing of the guard with LeBron James sitting on the sideline and Giannis going over there killing the Suns in Game 5. And that's kind of the writing on the wall right now. And, hey, it is what it is at the end of the day.
Well said, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of nailed all the key points. Totally agree with you.
Yeah, so, this is beautiful for the city of Milwaukee. They looked good last night as well, too. And, this just gives the Packers – more initiative to try to win the championship since we keep winning things in twos with these teams. Tampa Bay takes the Super Bowl, then they take the Stanley Cup as well too. And we'll see how it goes because the Dodgers got the double the Dodgers and Lakers got the double last year. Let's see if the Packers can ride off the momentum of the Bucks this year and maybe get a championship. With maybe I don't know, Jordan Love could be the quarterback this year because I don't know about Rodgers coming back.
Hey man, let's not sleep on the Brewers. By the way, I know we're gonna talk about baseball in a little bit, but somehow, some way, man, like Craig Counsell gets these guys to just keep winning ball games. Milwaukee, maybe Packers and Brewers. Maybe it's a trifecta of Green Bay.
Look, Mike, we need the Brewers to get it together right now because I got some buddy riding on them, but they're already losing.
The championship is tonight. The championship is today.
Right.
That's the only championship you care about.
Right. I'm worried about the Brewers winning the game by more than 2 runs right now. That's what I'm worried about.
There you go. Okay. All right. Well.
So where do we put this Bucks run to the all-time, lure of finals and playoff runs and in a series nobody expected? What's the thoughts on that? How do you feel? Where do we put the Bucks at? Are they a top 10 run to the championship, or this was just a coincidence that this was a year that the best of the best weren't a part of the finals?
Now, are we talking just like how does this team compare to all-time teams? Or are we talking, you know what I mean? Like would this team beat the 85 Lakers? Is that what you're asking? Or are you asking more like overall, just this playoff run, the story of this playoff run, is it an all-timer or not? Is that
right?
Will
you think in 25 years? Do you think it will be in somebody's top 10? The Bucks run to the championship, beating it, and the way they went about winning this championship and everything like that.
No, and mainly it's because of the 2 teams involved.
Right.
I don't think that people care that much about Phoenix and Milwaukee. It doesn't have any kind of doesn't resonate nationally in any way, shape, or form. I'm sure there's a lot of people, if it's on at the sports bar, they'll look up at the score. If they walk into Chili's, or Applebee's or TGI Fridays or wherever people eat nowadays, and they see that the game is on the monitor, they'll take a look at the score and be like, oh, wow, cool. It looks like they're coming back. But overall, it was a good comeback, but even the games themselves, it's a little bit different when you have like a lot of really closely contested ball games, Pop, that are going into overtime and last second shots and that type of stuff. This series was just all right. I mean, it wasn't a nail biter. Nice run. Congrats to them. Not a nail biter. Not an all time. It's not going to resonate in any kind of all time feeling.
Right. Understood. Because I feel like I totally agree. Because I feel like this is nowhere near a top 10 series. Now it's a top 10 story. Now it could be a top 10 story with what Giannis did throughout the series with the 40-point,
for sure,
40-point games, and then topping it off with a 50-point game. Now, individual final performance. Now that is top 10, but the whole just of the series, what it would be in 25 years, it's looked at like the 70, and I know I brought it up very early, like the Sonics and the Bullets back in the late 70s. You know what I mean? It's that type of series where people will remember it, but they're not going to sit up in here and be like, yeah, it was such a great series unless you live in Milwaukee or unless you live in Phoenix. And then, pretty much in that regards, because that's the last final that I can think of that was just like this one. I wasn't around at the time, but I do know pretty much every single final that was played. And that's one of them that always stuck out in my head, like, because those teams at the time when I read that, Sonics were good, but they weren't great. And, the Bullets were just absolutely trash. I said, how could you ever come up with something like that? And they did, and you could say the Bucks in their first title that they won as well, too, is one that is not memorable in the sense of where the series was at, but it is memorable because it did yield us Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, being the star of the series. And then you had the great Oscar Robertson, a part of the series as well, too. But it won't be in the top 10 of all-time finals at all. So I look at this and I say to myself that the Bucks did win a final that was expected in a sense, maybe a year off, but it was expected that because a lot of people felt like the Bucks were going to beat the Lakers last year if they would have played them in the finals. And a lot of people felt the Bucks were going to beat the Warriors the year before if they would have been in the finals against them as well too. So they get to the finals and they handle their business and they showed the resiliency that you have to have. And they showed that they had a good veteran bunch on here and they just proved to the NBA. You don't need a bunch of kids out of college to really prove that you can go ahead and win a championship. You're going to have to take some years to build this thing. You heard them last night. It was 8 years with Chris Middleton that it took to get to this point. You know what I mean? And this is bad. And the Bucks at one point in that situation were a bad team. You know what I mean? They were making the playoffs in some years, but there was a lot of years where they weren't a really good team at all. So, you know, that's hardship right there, in my opinion, Mike. And that's exactly what you got to do in today's NBA if you want to get a championship with a mid-market team like the Bucks. The Lakers, Knicks, Chicago, they can make a splash anytime they want to because the market calls for it. They can make deals happen. But the way that the NBA is working nowadays, these smaller teams are going to the highest bidder when it comes to moving assets. And I bring this up because Drew Holiday in any other decade or time of the NBA would have been sent off to a big market because seems to be a big market player. But no, he was sent off to Milwaukee, a team that's seen as an elite contender. But, you know, it's not the market that you would be running to if you were a free agent. But at the end of the day, he winds up being the missing link that they needed to get this thing over the top. You know, and big shout out to Bobby Portis last night. You remember I was calling out Bobby Portis since game one about being an X factor in the series, and Bobby Portis got to talk to the nation last night after the game was over because Drew Holiday called him over there, and it was great to hear him in a later interview say that they taught me how to win in this league. And I said that, see, a lot of guys are really good in the NBA, but we call them bums because they play for bad teams and they got a bad attitude when they play on these teams because they want to win so badly, but this team's not in the same boat as them on winning. And so now, you know, you got Bobby Portis who came in there and was able to add in his talent as well too, and not be selfish about not getting play calls for himself or anything like that, but just being a big time player like he's been his whole life. And that was exactly what they needed coming off the bench. And he did make up for the points that Brook Lopez should have been getting, because I didn't expect that Brook Lopez to be getting like 15, 20 points a game in this series, but Brook's getting up there in age a little bit. And you know what? It was good to see that you had a two-headed monster in that situation, and it worked out very well. And their biggest pickup of the season, PJ Tucker didn't score points in about 3 of the games in this series as well, too. And he still contributed so heavily to the victory. So this is just absolutely amazing team win for the Bucks in a sense. I know Giannis is going to be the star because you always need a star. But the thing is, though, the Bucks team was just, to me, a little bit more grimier, a little bit more grittier than the Suns team. And you know what? The Suns had 2 head coaches, and it's hard to listen to 2 head coaches. You know what I mean? Chris Paul's yelling at you about one thing. Monty's yelling at you about another thing. And after a while, it starts to really mess with your brain and mush you out a little bit. You could see Booker's face, and it was like, Chris can leave or stay. He can do whatever he wants. You know what I mean? That's the face that I kept getting from Booker. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to keep getting told what to do, and I got the head coach is already good at telling us what to do. You know what I mean? So that's where Chris Paul loses at. It's just, you got to stop talking to the refs all the time, and you got to stop overcoach. You're not hired to coach guys. You give guys tips and everything like that, but don't go out there just chastising, embarrassing guys all over the place just because they didn't do something right. You know what I mean? That's the coach's job. The coach has 4 other assistants. Chris, just go out there and play. That's it. And that he never gets it, and that's why he stays losing.
I agree, man. 100%. You make a lot of sense to me.
Right.
You know, look, you said something very important a few moments ago. You're talking about learning to win and being winners. these guys went through the process, right? They were favorites and got bounced out and disappointed. They didn't fold, tuck their tails away, and give up. They came back, took that playoff experience, and built on it. I legitimately think that this team can win 2 or 3 championships. They can go on a run, Pop, and win 2 or 3 championships. I legitimately think so. Now, it's not going to be as sexy or impressive as like the Warriors and the way they did it, where you're just breaking records and destroying people. This is a different type of team, though, man. So it's a little bit more reflective of, I don't want to say blue collar necessarily because people overuse that term, but I do think that this is a good team. Will they be considered a great team? We'll find out, but I think they have the chance to be able to win a couple of championships.
Well, I think that can be true if they can make some more additions. I think that they will have to subtract some of these players, get another big high volume player as well too, to keep this thing pushing forward. But I know that the core that they have in place, the big three that they supposedly have in place, is going to be an awesome, is a really good big three because you got a defensive point guard, you got a shooter that can play guard and forward, and then you got Giannis, the freak. So, there's a lot of upside to what you see with the big three, but then you also tell yourself there's others that might need, there's a subtraction and addition situation that needs to occur with the Bucks if they want to continue on being, at the top of the game. You know what I mean? Because Giannis doesn't have that coaching capability like LeBron, that savient. You know what I mean? So he's going to need some more dogs with him to keep this thing going the way that you would assume that if they were able to get multiple championships here in the next 5 years or so. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. Let's go ahead and jump into the NFL, Mike, and we're going to have a little fun with this one because we don't even have to be that long with this one. Today's team on the preview, and I even hate to bring them up like this because there's nothing for me to talk about with them this year except for they're going to be a bad team, and that's the Houston Texans this year. You got the Texans coming here with a 4-12 record, over under 5 this year. I think that at best this team wins 3 games this year, Mike. No Deshaun Watson. That's over and done with. There should be a trade that should be made by mid-August or so where they're going to rob the bank. So they got time to reboot the team a little bit, but they don't have much. J.J. Watt, their perennial leader over the last decade, gone. Their best lineman, he's been gone for a while. Also, no receivers there as well, too. You got a coach who's a lame duck head coach. That coach is like when the Raiders hired Art Shell for the second time. You know what I mean, Mike? Like, you bring in this guy that doesn't have big credibility to be a leader of men in the league, but he was with Lamar Jackson. So let's see if he can talk Deshaun into staying with the team. And Deshaun has already made his mind up. Him and his agent both have already made their mind up. And then, the allegations and stuff come in on Deshaun. And it's crazy because I never really believed it in the first place. And I'm not trying to, dog the victims or anything of that nature. But the thing is, though, it just was too good. It just was too much at once. And it seemed like it was a big cash grab because nobody wants to go to actual court. Everybody wants to get some dollars out of this thing. So from what I'm hearing now, all this stuff is about a week or 2 from being settled out with all these people with all these women who came out. And I just keep saying to myself, I don't want to be that guy, but the conspiracy theory tells me the Houston Texans let this thing loose. And Mike, you're more on the inside than me, but I know you can't speak on it like that because this is a legal situation. But to me, it just seemed like that because once he said he wanted out, all of a sudden he started having cases. What if he said, "Oh, I'm going to stay with the Texans"? All of a sudden, oh, he wasn't that bad of a guy. So hey, the Texans, Deshaun Watson is going to be the story for this team all season, on the roster or not on the roster, and they're just not going to perform. So I just say on Sundays, be ready to bet against the Texans until the final month of the season. when they get guys that actually want to win football games. And then that's when we get those plus 13.5 covers, Mike.
No doubt, brother.
With the possible victory. So we'll see how it goes. But the Texans, I don't think much of them this year, Mike. I think they're a 3-13 team. If they win 4 games, God bless them. But they struggled last year, and they're going to struggle even more this year. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think that they're going to be very good. I tend to agree with just about everything that you said. The only thing is this, though. They might be a little bit more competitive than you think. Not in terms of wins and losses, probably, but at least in keeping games close. And here's why I say that. They've got a lot of veteran players who have already peaked, who are on the downside of their career. But guys that were Pro Bowlers, guys that were really, really good players. I mean, if Deshaun can't go, then it's going to be Tyrod Taylor. He's okay. He's never been a great quarterback. He's okay. But, like, look at the running backs as an example. David Johnson, Phillip Lindsay, Mark Ingram, and Rex Burkhead. All guys who were the guy at one point in time. At least Ingram, Phillip Lindsay, and David Johnson. Right?
Right.
How about receivers? Well, they got like Brandon Cooks and Randall Cobb. So, I mean, they got some guys, tight end, Jordan Atkins. Still got one of the best offensive linemen, Laramie Tunsil. I mean, they've got some good players that I think are going to be they have too much pride to get walked all over. That's kind of the point that I'm trying to make. They may be a better cover team than meets the eye.
I agree. Because I'm not saying that they're going to be like bad on Sundays every Sunday. But I think that if you catch them at an 8.5, a 9 during the year, they'll cover that for you. But if you put them in a situation where they're minus 1.5 or 2, I'm going the other way.
Agreed. I actually think that over-under that you have listed there, it's probably going to be a push. They look like a 5-11 team to me. Because if you notice, all of the players that I mentioned were on offense. Their defense, oh my God, they may give up 30 points a game.
Right. And then they're playing in a division that right now is very quarterback friendly. Carson Wentz is looking for his second chance. Then you got the kid in Jacksonville as well too, who was seen as the greatest thing since Peyton Manning when he was in college. And then you also have trying to think. You got the Texans, Tennessee, and you got Mr. Tannehill, Mr. Money Dave. I mean, Money Ryan. You know what I mean? Because remember they said he looked like Money Mike when he was in Miami. You know what I mean? So you got him, who has the best offense in the division, if not the conference, and pretty much. This looks like Tennessee's division to roll, and pretty much, you know what I mean? But I'm just talking about the other 3 teams have their quarterback situation settled. Now, if Deshaun was still with Houston, this would be the most open conference in football. But right now, when you look at it, you say to yourself, Tennessee should not lose this deal at all. They should not lose this in this division. Well, they'll lose probably a game or 2, but they shouldn't lose the division at all. They should be able to win this championship in the division this year because the team is set up to be great this year. They're not set up to just make the playoffs. They're set up to make the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So Titans will be, the bar to really set your team up on in this division as well too. But Houston, I think you're on to something, Mike, where they're going to be a try-hard team, but they're not going to be a good team at the end of the day. I just don't trust the coach, Mike. It is what it is at the end of the day.
Agree all the way around, Pop. Well said. I mean, I think we've pretty much hit on all the points regarding this team that you can mention.
Right. So, folks, sorry if you're a Texans fan. They're not a 10-minute conversation. They're more of a 5-minute conversation, okay? Because, we just don't know where to put them at. You know what I mean? It's just you guys – there's 12 teams to me that are important in the NFL, or 14 now since we got the 2 extra playoff spots. Those are the most important 14 teams when we get to the end of the year. The other 16, very irrelevant once we, you know what I mean? So pretty much with that, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. And when we get back, it's time to talk some baseball, especially about that walk-off home run last night from Chili Willie Smith. So pretty much I can't wait to talk about that. And then we can get into Wednesday's games as well, too. So you guys stay tuned to the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles Live, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, and my main man, Mike Abadir. And we'll be right back to you. The Viget app, where social media meets sports betting. Get the latest line movements in all major sports. Track your daily bets, daily contests, the NFL over-under contest that pays out $10K in cash prizes. This is a cutting-edge app that helps betting be easy. Sign up with the reference code POPDBIC and you will be able to watch my daily show, The Primetime Angles, as a resource to building that bankroll. Viget is available in your Apple or Google Store on your iOS or Android. The social sports betting app, Viget.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Yep. I know everybody asks what's Hoops 101. Hoops 101 was a show that was a basketball only review show and things like that. But we're gonna bring it back in more of a more of a bio form where I talk about certain teams and how they won a championship and things like that. So I can't wait for that. But we still got to keep in the advertisements. I love the intro to the show, so that's why I keep it in there. I was just giving you a little heads up about Hoops 101. I know Mike's like, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah. Thanks for the explanation.
Right. It was a part of my 5 projects I was doing all at once. Then you start to find out that, damn, this stuff is hard. Try to do a boxing show, basketball show, football show, then the daily sports show. Jeez Louise, you just try to be ESP pop.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's jump into it. Dodgers last night, absolutely amazing. And it was crazy because I missed the live feed of the walk-off last night. I walked upstairs. I was watching the game, but I walked upstairs with the idea I was going to be able to watch the final out because it was crazy. Even the announcers were like, yeah, it was a good game for the Dodgers tonight, but it looks like it might be, over. You know how announcers get to start talking about what it could have, should have before the game is over, before there's a big moment. And then, boom, you look up, the stadium's going crazy, Will Smith's going crazy, and Dodgers are up 8-6, winning the game and getting the walk-off homer that they needed right on time. And the craziest part about it is the Dodgers scored 7 unanswered runs last night. They were down 6-1 at one point in the game last night. So that's what champions in baseball do. They show their resilience, and they show that they're never out of a game. That's the difference between the great teams in baseball and the bad teams in baseball. A bad team in baseball gets down 6-1. Everybody's worried about what they're going to be eating for dinner after the game. You know what I mean? So pretty much, so even the bullpen doesn't care when they come in the game. You know what I mean? Well, I'm going to get some action tonight. You know what I mean? Just get the ball over the plate. You know what I mean? So Dodgers get the big win last night, and they brought up their young future arm or asset. I like to say arm or asset because You're either going to be somebody a part of the Dodgers' future, or you're going to be an asset that's going to contribute to the Dodgers' future. One or the other. But Josiah Gray looked good last night. Did you get a chance to watch him at all?
I did.
What did you think?
I like his form. I like his mechanics.
Yeah.
I liked what I saw. He gave up runs against a Giants team that's proven to be kind of a savvy hitting team, right? They're tough outs. They got some tough outs. So yeah, man, I think that he's got a bright future ahead, man. I really do.
I do too. I think that he should be a part of the Dodgers' future. He's a part of this young group of guys that they're going to have in place in the next 2 to 3 years, where you won't see guys that were on the team 15 years ago anymore. Kershaw, I've been here for Kershaw's whole career, and it's crazy to know that the guy's been in the league for literally almost like 13, 14 years. And I just remember, and it's just like yesterday, I remember him striking out his now teammate, Albert Pujols, on debut on a humid Sunday in LA. And I remember Vin Scully saying it before he even threw his first pitch. He said, this guy could be the next Sandy Koufax. And literally, he's nowhere near being the next Sandy Koufax, but he's a damn good second, though. So pretty much, I felt like he's one of the best left-handed pitchers I've ever seen. Well, of this era, you know what I mean? Because this era has had a lot of pitchers come and go fairly quickly as well, too, Mike. You know that. We got guys like Mark Pryor, who's now the Dodgers pitching coach. He was supposed to be the best thing since sliced bread, but that's because he was on the Cubs. And everybody on the Cubs is considered a legend or a god if they can play baseball really well. You know that. The Cubs know how to burn you out. Ask Chris Bryant, and a little bit of Rizzo right now too. So the Cubs know how to burn you out as a star player. We both know this. A la Ryan, I won't say Sandberg, but Mark Grace. Mark Grace was damn good, but the Cubs wore him out. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And lightweight, they wore out Sammy Sosa as well too, because they disregarded Sammy so quickly. That's what I didn't like about the Cubs, is that Sammy was the man for 5, 6, 7 years in a row. And then when he got popped, all of a sudden, oh, well, Sammy always missed a lot of fly balls and stuff. He was all right. Nah, man, you guys were loving some Sammy Sosa because he kept us all entertained on those afternoon WGN games.
No doubt about that, man.
I remember young Sammy Sosa. He would be dropping every damn ball that was hit to him, striking out on the worst pitches that you could strike out on. And then a few years later, he's challenging Mark McGwire for the home run race. You know what I mean? So that's how it goes. The MLB is a fickle place, man. That's all I'm saying. And it was good to see the Dodgers win that game last night, 8-6. Tonight, Julio Urias is on the mound going against Logan Webb. This is the most important game of the series, in my opinion, because this gives somebody some traction here for this first place spot. And the Dodgers are in good hands, but still, the Dodger hopefuls and Dodger backers should not feel like this is a guaranteed win for the Dodgers tonight.
Do you think yesterday was a must-win?
I think every game against the Giants is a must-win right now. I truly do. But I think Monday night was more important than last night, to be honest with you, because Monday night you set the tone, and the Giants set the tone, and then they kind of replicated it the next night. So we'll have to see. Now they're on even ground, and I think that we should expect a pretty good game tonight, but it's not going to be as high scoring as these other games, as the prior two games were.
I agree with you, man. Here's the thing. Yesterday's game is the type of game that can rip the heart and soul out of you. I'm very interested to see how the Giants come back and respond to that. Do they look at it like, hey, we should have won these last couple in a row? We're a better team than them. We're going to make it happen. Or do they just cower to the favorites, the Dodgers? I'm very interested to see that. Now, if you're the Dodgers, this could have been a game that was your springboard to go on a run. You know those runs, Pop, where you win like 15 out of 19 games, 15 out of 20 games. You make up 4 or 5 games in the standings. I think this could be the start of that. Yesterday could have been a season-defining victory. We'll see how each team responds. Now, I think the Giants have earned the right to not be questioned and earned the right to get the benefit of the doubt. That yesterday won't rip their heart and soul. It was just another game.
I agree. And I think that, as I keep telling people, everybody wants to put the Padres in the party, but it's going to come down to these two.
Yep.
The old New Yorkers. I'm telling you right now, Mike, it's all these are bitter rivals right here, buddy. You know what I mean? There's the Red Sox and the Yankees, there's the Giants and the Dodgers. And when they know they're 1 and 2, nobody else is really in this party with them. I know everybody's in love with Tatis, and he's the face of baseball, and you know he's looks great in Gatorade commercials and all that good stuff. But we both know at the end of the day that might be the biggest distraction of the Padres right now as well too, because they feel entitled to every single game that they're going to win it because they have those two egomaniacs in Machado and Tatis. And, you know, it's like the MLB isn't WWE. You know what I mean? We're not going to give you the title because you're the most entertaining person in the sport. You got to earn it. You know what I mean? We've had Mike Trout has been the best hitter in baseball the last 5 years. He hasn't been in one playoff. He hasn't had one playoff appearance. And he had Albert Pujols there with him as well, too. One of the greatest hitters of all time. Albert came to the Dodgers and loves it. I never even saw him really love being on the Angels like he did with the Cardinals and the Dodgers. He used to just be like, well, I'm making a lot of money, Artie. Thanks, Artie. You know, thanks for the 200 and what? You got 225 million or something like that, Mike? Just to come hang out and live in Orange County?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, so, you know, he like, this is cool because I'm still getting to spend all that money with the Angels. I ain't signed for nothing but $250,000 with the Dodgers. You know what I mean? And Dodgers might pay him that over the next few years or so. You know what I mean? They might not give it all to him right now because he's still spending all that Angels money right now.
There you go.
You know what I mean? So it is what it is at the end of the day. Mike, you got that face. Let's stop talking. Let's move on to some actual baseball. Mike's just like, need to talk some Red Sox.
Always.
All right, so we got the Marlins and the Nats, Mike. Marlins and the Nats. Oh, and we got a trade coming in right now. The Dodgers just acquired some guy I never heard of. Billy McKinney from the Mets is now on the Dodgers. Carlos Rincon, who's a minor leaguer, was traded today to the Mets for McKinney to the Dodgers. So there goes some news for you right there, Mike.
Yeah, he's actually got a little bit of pop.
Oh, okay.
He's hit I believe 7 home runs for the Mets in limited at bats. Okay. So he's got some pop. He could provide a little bit of depth.
Okay, because you have to understand the only thing they talk about in Queens right now is Jacob deGrom. That's it. The only Mets player they talk about, in a sense, to me, is Jacob deGrom. Everybody else is just there. You hear about Stroman sometimes. You heard about Taijuan Walker because you know Taijuan Walker played for the whole MLB. So, you know, he's now somewhere where he's settled at. But you don't hear much about the Mets hitters this year. So that's just why I'm kind of off with that one, Mike. My bad. But I digress. Let's talk Marlins, Nats. I like the Marlins tonight in this spot, Mike. I don't know why, but I do. So I think that they could right some wrongs in this game tonight, and I think they'll be able to get themselves a nice little victory here. What do you think, Mike?
Well, here's the deal. The Nats for a minute there looked like they were going to mount a season-defining run. And they still might. They're winners of 3 in a row. The Marlins are losers of 4 in a row. I'm not sure that the Nats have it. It'll be interesting to see if they deal Max Scherzer or not. I think for them, they probably should because they got a good enough young core with Soto and Robles and all these guys that they need to build on the future and not necessarily today because you have 3 teams in front of you in the division. So it's hard to leapfrog 3 teams. With that said, on a game-to-game basis, the Nats have proven that they're very competitive. And as it relates to this game here, you basically have 2 mediocre pitchers going. I think the sides are no touch, but the play here is the over on a warm, humid night in DC.
All right. And it's crazy because the Marlins actually did have their best pitcher up yesterday and still lost. So they trying, Mike, but it's going to be a while, DJ. It's going to be a while. But I do think Jeter's going to be raising up a title within the decade, though, to be honest with you. Marlins get their 3rd ring at some point of this decade, Mike. Some point. Not now. All right, let's talk about your Red Sox. They're going against the best player in baseball, right? Well, let me not talk from a basketball sense because basketball has ruined everything when it comes to team sports because they're always like, Giannis got to take on the Suns. You know what I mean? Or Booker got to take on the Bucks. You know what I mean? Or LeBron versus the no, it's not about one player in baseball. It definitely isn't about one player. But it can be if you win the game 1-0. You know, in that regard. But all in all, we got Vlad Jr., who possibly is going to be the MVP. But I think it's going to be hard to beat Shotani out for the MVP this year. But I think that he's in the room. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be a neck-to-neck type of situation. And I think tonight your your Red Sox are a good number, Mike, to be honest with you. And they're playing in that little minor league park over there in Buffalo as well, too. So anything goes in that little park. You know that, right? So tonight, the way I look at this one is it's a scoreboard watch, and you go ahead and you do what you got to do here. But I think that this game winds up being where the Red Sox keep it very close here. I say, okay, you can take them on the money line, but you'll get some value on the spread as well, too. And I like the spread tonight, Mike. What's your thoughts on your Red Sox as they try to fight off the Rays right now?
Believe it or not, that over-under at 10.5, the over looks juicy to me. That's a very high total. And I think these two teams are going to put up some serious runs tonight, man. Like you said, in a minor league ballpark, I think the ball is going to be flying out of the yard. Look, Robbie Ray's had a really nice start to this season. Might be his best season ever. But I think he's going to revert to who Robbie Ray was. Especially against the division rival Boston Red Sox, who are just so potent offensively. The play here is the over. This is another no touch in terms of the sides.
All right. No touchy. You stay away from the product. All right. Okay, so Mike, let's talk about what I like to call them now is the under the radar game. Rangers, Tigers. Value here, Mike, but it's not in picking a side like with the Red Sox. for me, it's about the over-under here. And I think this is going to be a total over today as well, too. And we'll get it before the fifth inning today, I think. They're going to be hitting that ball left and right out in Detroit today. So what are your thoughts on this one?
I've been on this over wave, right? And I think here's another going over.
I'll have another.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. I'll have another.
I mean, these two pitchers, their ERAs are mind-boggling high. Jordan Lyles 5.20. Matt Manning is almost 7. So I mean, these guys, it's not going to be a pitcher's duel. I'll tell you that much. Let me tell you something, Pop. The Detroit Tigers aren't half bad.
Third place.
They've won 5 in a row, and they're 4 games over 500 at home. They're a good team at home. The play here is Detroit with the over.
Okay. And you know what? Detroit beat Texas the other day, 14-0. So that means that Texas had been beat 29-0 over their last 3 games. That's dreadful, Mike. I didn't know that they were this bad this year. You know, Rangers are awful, period, point blank. But they got a pretty ballpark, though. I'll give them that. They got a beautiful ballpark, Mike. Global Life. It's a great place, man. So we move on. Good division game here. Twins, White Sox. Twins, the most disappointing team in all of baseball. A lot of people, including myself, thought the Twins would be a good team this year. And as I keep saying, the White Sox just keep coasting along, waiting on Cleveland to challenge them, you know. And that's coming very, very soon as well, too, Mike. I know a lot of people think it sounds crazy right now, but let them hook up in the series in the next month or two. Indians go ahead and get the best of it, and we're going to have ourselves pretty much a fun little September when it comes to who's going to win the Central Division, in my opinion, Mike. I think that the White Sox are like that horse that's at the top of the stretch. You know, he's good because he's up about 4 lengths, but Cleveland's a closer. You know what I mean? And let's see if the front-running Chicago White Sox can close this year. And from what I'm looking at for this game is, once again, I'm scoreboard watching here as well too, Mike. I know that we're just being the over Twins right now, but I think this game goes over as well too.
Yeah, and these warm summer nights, you know, we're seeing the ball fly all over the yard.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the pitching matchup tonight is Michael Pineda, and Dylan Cease. And Cease has not ceased giving up the runs, but he hasn't been terrible either. He's 7-5 with a 4.15 ERA. These are two teams that the White Sox are playing to expectation. The Twins are not. The Twins, who are co-favorites in the division, are 15 games below 500. And the White Sox have impressed me in the sense that every time they've needed to assert themselves within that division, they've met the task. So the play here is the White Sox. Minus 145 is actually generous.
Strong, but you know what? Sometimes the lines makers want to be tricky. You know that, Mike. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
This is why I can't wait till the NFL starts, so we can just go ahead and, you know, show you where lines makers really fool you at. But in baseball, it's a daily grind, so it's different. You know what I mean? But from what I can see on the number, I can agree. This could be a 1.5 for you today, too, as well, with the White Sox, I think. Pineda is not the same pitcher he was when he was in New York, you know. But Dylan Cease, to me, he's a little bit of a 50-50 bag. When I saw him pitch in person against the Astros, I wasn't impressed. But that's different because that was the Astros. This is the Twins. We'll see how it goes. But the Twins are a top 5 team in homers this year as well, too, Mike. I just want to give you that fact. So we'll see. We will see.
Good old Nelson Cruz, man.
Yeah, Nelson Cruz hitting them balls out the park.
Ageless wonder.
I think they got 160 on the year or something like that too. All right, so here goes my dog of the day, the dog of the day, and it's gonna be the Cleveland Indians today. I know it looks crazy, Mike. I know it looks crazy, but at the end of the day, though, I don't care because I gave out the Orioles to my clients Monday. That was a plus 205. So do you think I'm worried about giving out a plus almost 250 today on the Indians who will probably backdoor this thing? I'm doing this, Mike, because the Astros have been bad as a minus 300 team on the books this year as a money line team. I don't think that they've won many of those games this year. They got swept by the Orioles at home a few weeks back and were minus 300 literally every single game. Tonight, I think that same situation occurs even with the Indians, whatever pitcher that's on the mound. And I know he's going against the best pitcher for the Astros, but yeah, Mike, I see you looking at me crazy, but yeah, I'm going to be a little crazy tonight. Give me the Indians, man.
Yeah, that's pretty bold.
Yeah, bold.
Yeah, that's bold. Because Lance McCullers been dealing, man.
I know.
Yeah, it's hard for me to side with the Cleveland Indians, but you make some really good points. The Astros, for whatever reason, when they're most expected to win, have laid a goose egg, man. If you look at their losses, they've lost against the worst teams in baseball. But then they'll go up against like good teams like the Oakland A's or the Yankees or Red Sox or whomever and like win the series. Hard team to figure out, but overall, look, they've been one of the best teams in baseball. Second best record in the American League. Cleveland Indians, though, are surprisingly second place in that division. They're over 500. Francona and company find ways to win. But Houston is the side here, my man.
All right, we will see. And when the Indians win tonight, Mike, I'll text you, okay?
For sure.
I'll text you and be like, Pop said it first. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about another arch rival. This is the rivalry of the Midwest, the Cubs and the Cards tonight. This one is a tricky game, Mike. But you know what? I really like the Cardinals in this spot. I think the Cardinals take care of their business here. And I think they go ahead and get the win here against the Cubs, who are now, from what I'm hearing, are sellers. They're not going to be trying to buy anybody for for a short-term situation. They are absolute sellers right now. Even got rid of Jock Peterson the other day. You know that, right?
Yep.
Jock's playing in Atlanta now. So, that was one of their big free agent signings too. That's what cracks me up. But Jock eventually find his way back to the Dodgers. It happens like Russell Martin did and Matt Kemp. He'll find his way back.
Yeah, these guys bleed Dodger blue.
Right. He'll find his way back soon. But all in all, though, I do like the Cardinals tonight. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I like the Cardinals as well. These teams, by the way, have identical records. They're both 47 and 48, game under 500. The Cubs have been terrible away from Wrigley Field. They just don't win. I think these teams are headed in opposite directions. I still feel the Cardinals have one more run in them because they got a lot of talent. And the Cubs, like you mentioned, are sellers. That doesn't mean that they're going to cave to their arch rival. But I think the Cardinals realize where they're at with how much time left there is in the season. Adam Wainwright, savvy veteran, going up against Hendricks, who's having a really good season, man. 12-4 record, 3.65 ERA. But I think being away from Wrigley, going up against a savvy, crafty pitcher like Wainwright, give me the Cardinals.
All right. So we're going to go with the big vet tonight. Hopefully he can get us home, get us a good win tonight. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But that's the Cubs and the Cards for you tonight. And we're going to take another quick break. And when we get back, we're going to go ahead and talk some tickets. All right. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Magos Live.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
What kills me, though, is I know it sounds really funny. I mentioned about 3 horses that he was training. I think he only has one of them left still in the group because Irish Heatwave got sold. And I definitely know what you call it, Notre Dame. Yeah, he still got Notre Dame, though. And Dennis's Celery, I don't know. He's somewhere at the barn. I haven't seen Dennis's Celery in a while. So it is what it is. Hey, everybody, it looks like I think Mike is going to be in the 3-on-3 tournament this afternoon with the cutoff today under X.
Oh, yeah.
The 3-on-3 basketball tournament, Venice tournament.
Man, it's hot and humid too, man.
Yeah, you got on the right gear, man. I just wanted to clown with you real quick, but I love it. HunterX.coin. You guys make sure to sign up for that so you get your coins up and everything like that. And, pretty much have the coolest guys in the industry, being right there for you and taking care of that business for you as well, too. So, I got to plug them in as well, too. Always love to HunterX. Shout out to the Crypto Ken, our boy. You know what I mean? Big shout out to him as well, too. So, pretty much HunterX Coin, you guys go ahead and invest. It's the next big wave in the game. I'm telling you guys right now, you don't want to miss out on that. Also, you guys make sure to check out Stable Duel. The commercial that just ran. Check out Stable Duel. If you love fantasy football, fantasy sports, this is stables that you can make up like in a fantasy style. You wind up getting enough points, you'll get the big payout and everything like that. And they had 2 $10,000 contests last weekend as well, too, Mike. Mike's still not impressed with Stable Duel, but it's okay.
I just love the real thing. But hey, Stable Duel, look, there's a lot of people that love it. Right. I'm guessing that they're getting more entries than ever before. So they're doing a great job marketing. They're getting a lot of people involved. And I like contests. Don't get me wrong. I just haven't had the time.
Understood.
I just haven't had the time.
Understood. Man, I'm telling you right now, though, but Del Mar should be good this weekend, Mike. Next week, Thursday racing starts back as well, too. I can't wait. I love Thursday racing.
Me too.
I love claiming races because claiming races are wide open. When you get to these maiden special weights and these starter allowances and all that stuff, yeah, you can get a 15-1 from time to time in those, but most likely the 1-2 is going to win
yeah.
Because they set that spot up for that horse. But 12-5 claimer, hey, we all in the same game. And I feel like those are the horses that could talk before the race. Hey, look, we're going to let so-and-so win today because, we've been kicking his ass a little bit too much lately. So, he's a good guy.
Exactly.
We're all going to hold back a little bit for him today. You know what I mean? But as they always say, if horses could talk, there'd be a lot of millionaires. You know what I mean? But it is what it is at the end of the day, Mike. You look big. I know you gotta get to your biz. I do as well too. So let me go ahead and get into Talkin Tickets, and these are my Talkin Tickets tonight, Mike. And yeah, I know I'm really gambling tonight, Mike. I'm not even gonna lie. With the Marlins, me and the Marlins just seem not to mesh. But I just keep being so stubborn and taking them because I feel like they're going to be able to take care of business in this spot tonight. That's why I'm taking them with the -1.5. Then I got your Red Sox +1.5 tonight. I do suggest if you really do like the Red Sox tonight to take them on the money line as well too. I'm just playing it on the safe side, but I do like the Red Sox all in all tonight for this game. And then we got the over 9 with the Twins and the White Sox, the over 9.5 with the lowly Tigers and I'm not going to call them lowly anymore, but you know what I mean though, Mike. You got the Tigers and you got the lowly Rangers. Then my dog of the day, the Indians, who were bet down to 200 at that point, but they skyrocketed back up to 245, after the fact. And then I got the Cards here at the end, -120. And they forgot to put the number, but the number tonight, Mike, is going to be 68-1. And and your boy missed out on a 72-1 Monday by one game. Damn, Mets and Reds went over. I had it as an under. So, we're getting close, Mike.
Getting close. Yeah, look, I like this play. The only one that we had different opinions on from all of these on the list is the Indians. And look, you're going to need a +200 to be able to get into 60-1 odds. So I'm all for it. You got to take a chance every once in a while if you want to hit the big parlay. If you want to bet 100 and get back 70, there are other plays. But if you want to bet 100 and get back like 6,000, you need to put a big underdog like the Indians. Right. So I see where you're going with this play, and I think it makes a lot of sense. And how many times have we seen it that the least likely team in pro sports provides the most unlikely outcome?
Right.
And in baseball, that happens more than any other sport because the bad teams still are going to end up winning 60, 70 games in a year. It's not like they go 0-162.
Right.
So I like this play.
Well, we say for 60 or 70. We both know that the Diamondbacks are good for 53 this year.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, they are on pace to probably have the worst season ever in baseball.
And by the way, I want to correct myself real fast. I didn't want to make it seem that the Indians are that unlikely. They're second place. They're above 500. They're a decent team. I guess I just meant it with Eli Morgan on the hill. I didn't see them as a big threat. That's all. Mm-hmm. But hey, sometimes these young guys find their form after their fifth or sixth start. So I like this play, Pop. I think this is worthy of a 60+1.
Let's get it, Mike. Man, 68-1. I'm paying the rent this week if we hit it. $20 ticket pays the rent, Mike. You know that?
There you go.
You know that, brother. All right, man. So you guys, always beautiful, always Wednesday. You guys know that when Mike's in the house with me, we're going to always have some, great conversations and everything like that. So you guys make sure if you want to hear more of Mike, you guys tune in tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific time to his radio show with our boy, it's me, Gino Bacola, who also has a stable dual partnered show as well too. So you guys check his thing out on Friday with Delmar and everything like that. So, and then Horsing Around's back this weekend as well too. So
nice.
You got options, just like that hot chick on IG. You got options. You know what I mean? So, hey, it is what it is. But you guys can hear Mike on Radio America tomorrow. And if you follow Mike already, just go ahead and tag on that link and go from there. But Mike, any final words?
Beautiful show as always, Pop. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, and I love bringing you in here. Hopefully we'll see you next Wednesday if you're not too busy or anything like that. Well, actually, I will be taking the week off next week. I'm going to be in Vegas, so we're going to be doing shorter shows, just talking ticket stuff in the book and things like that. Give the show a little bit of a breather and come back around August as we prepare for the NFL, as we prepare for college football as well, too. Get everybody excited. And, pretty much give myself some time to reset a little bit. You know what I mean? So pretty much Mike will be back the Wednesday after if possible. So pretty much that is going to be a wrap on the show today. And I thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow at noon to go over some good angles and things of that nature. And we'll be talking about the Indianapolis Colts tomorrow as well, too. So you guys make sure to tune in for that. So this is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the Primetime Angles Live, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, and my man, radio show, sports agent extraordinaire, the deal maker, the negotiator, my man, Mike Abadir. All right, so you guys be good, and we both will be in your ear tomorrow as well, too. So you guys have a beautiful day, and I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave